You are now listening to the Baseball Aficionado podcast. Back once again with you guys. I am Santos, the Baseball Aficionado. And of course, it would not be complete without me bringing my guest who I always have on. He's part of the Baseball Aficionado family and also from Bodega Sports, Willy Báez. And we're going to talk about, obviously, everything that was April in MLB, of course. But before you do anything, make sure if you are watching on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, comment. And do not forget to check out the merch. We have really nice merch that we put out for this new season. Hats, tees, the spring collection. You guys will love it. Real nice things like the hat I'm wearing. If you're watching me on YouTube, all those things. Check it out at bbaficionado.com. You get 10% off your first purchase when you subscribe. Check it out. Tell your friends. Tell your girlfriend, your wife, your neighbors, todo el mundo. But you already know. Without further ado, I'm gonna welcome back my guy from Bodega Sports, because we got to talk about. We got a lot to get into, and we're gonna start right now. Let's get into it. My boy Willy Báez.
What's up, Santos? What you got?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Taking it easy, man. And yourself?
And here, man, I can actually. I'm drinking a seltzer right now, and I'm trying to cover the label when I'm drinking it. I love it, but they don't pay me. Now, if they want to pay me,
No. I feel you 100%, bro. We do the
I
same
love
thing.
seltzer. Yo, I love seltzer water. Love seltzer water. I drink coffee, water, and seltzer water. That's what I drink. So,
To be honest, man, all for me is as bad as it sounds, juice, bro. I love that juice.
juice? What juice?
Orange juice, apple juice, whatever I can get. It's
So,
crazy
yo,
bad
so
for you.
no, no, no. Ay, coño, mano, tú estás mal, bro. You can't be drinking this juice. You got, por lo menos tienes que beber jugo natural, right? Like,
Yeah, I know.
like what we drink, like where we come from, right? We always drink jugo de parcha or chinola, like you guys call it, right?
De caña.
Uh, Caña, yo, but it has like a million sugars, but at least it's natural. So,
That is true.
so
Yo,
what we
so what
got,
do you
man?
want to start? What do you want to start?
I think we should talk about okay, because there was so much stuff going on. Maybe we talk about some of the news stuff
Mhm.
that's been going on, right? Some of the stuff that happened in April, right? Just so those things, and then I guess we could talk about like who we thought were the best players, right, for each position. Because there was a lot of peaks and valleys. It was kind of slow to start the season, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would
Offense was
agree.
down. Offense was down, bro. Or erratic, I should say, erratic, right? You got a guy who get hot, hit a home run in back-to-back games, then won't do nothing for like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So, stuff like that. So,
I think the month of April was all about New York. In my opinion, it was all about the
yeah,
Mets, how Juan Soto did, and I know we'll jump into it. Pete
right,
Alonso with
right.
the reawakening, and then Aaron Judge being Aaron Judge. Whole
We'll
for
talk.
a whole
But
month.
yeah, we could talk Aaron Judge too, because I think
Mhm.
Aaron Judge has been so disrespected throughout this process.
Mhm.
Throughout everything, right? Everybody kind of talked about Soto and all this other stuff, even a little bit of chatter of Lindor and stuff. And it's like, wait a second, but Aaron Judge, is arguably the best player in the sport. And
That
and
is
I'm a
true.
Mets fan, but I'm objective. So to me, he's the
No,
best
no.
player in the sport. And I said that to you. We both said it last year. We believed it. Even last
Mhm.
year with Shohei stuff going on, we still were like, nah, because you can't compare everything he does. It doesn't even can't quantify all of it. So.
No, I agree. I agree. All right, so Mira, let's start with
Mhm.
one of the first news, right? Jose Ramirez reaching the 250 club. How important it is. Tell me more about that.
I think well, it's important because I feel like switch hitters, first of all, switch hitters are a rare commodity. So I almost feel like switch hitters need to be in their own category. And I for one, I've told you many times, I appreciate switch hitters a lot because I don't think people realize how difficult it is to master. You're doing everything twice pretty much in the cage. Um, and for a guy like Jose Ramirez who's mastered his craft, um offensively, has gotten better defensively. When he first came up, he wasn't a good defender. People forget that, right? I know that has nothing to do with the 250, but I'm just bringing it up. The evolution, right? And for
Yeah.
him to be just the second player in baseball history, not Latino, second in baseball history to reach the 250 steals and 250 home runs shows how consistent he has been for the 10 years he's been around, 10 years plus. He's been around. Only joining Carlos Beltrán is the other. Um, what else can you say? He's been a model of consistency, and I think a lot of people still to this day, for whatever reason, fail to realize it.
You know that he's going to join the 300 club eventually, right? It's historic. But if you had to guess, out of the 8 people, right, that are in the 300 club, how many are Hall of Famers, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, of that who are in the 300 club,
Mm-hmm.
um, it can't be more than one.
Yeah, damn, yeah. Only 2 people, Willie Mays and
One or
Andrew
two,
Dawson.
Andre Dawson.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
that's
okay.
it.
So I had forgotten Willie Mays, but yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking Andre Dawson because I remember he was a 5 tool player,
Mhm.
the Hawk, and he took a while to get in. He didn't get in right away.
No, no, no. The other day, he got in the
Re-
late 2010s, and it was by
And
committee.
right, and that to me illustrates what I've told you many times offline is, and this is what happens with Ramirez. This is
Mhm.
what happens with Beltran. Same thing. Everybody gets revisionist history. Same thing with Beltran. Same thing with Lindor. When guys are all around players and they do everything well, they get overlooked. It's easier to pay attention to the guy who does one or two things well. I'm telling you, that's what happens. Guys with 5 tools or all around players usually get overlooked because then sluggers stand out, defensive wizards stand out, speedsters stand out, right? Switch
Mhm.
hitters like who are one-dimensional sluggers like ¿cómo que se llama? Your favorite from Toronto, um, Santander. These guys
Yeah.
stand out, right? Dan Palo, Eugenio Suarez, good slugger, right? These
Mhm.
guys stand out. They do one thing really well. But the other guys who do everything well, the Jaren Durans, the guys like Ramirez, the guys who Lindor, these guys don't stand out. And then you look at them later, you're like, holy crap, look at those
Yeah.
numbers. So
Yep. Ketel Marte, you can put him there too.
that's right. That's
It's,
right. Absolutely.
they're underappreciated by the game. That's all it is. Eh,
Yeah.
it's funny. So looking at the list, right? I'm gonna mention it, right? Carlos
Mhm.
Beltran got 435 home runs and 312 stolen bases. Then you have A-Rod, 696 and 329. Then you have Steve Finley, which I'm surprised that he wasn't a Hall of Famer. He had a great
Right.
career,
Great career.
304 home runs, 320 stolen bases, and more than 2,500 hits. I think he might be a candidate to actually make it eventually.
I think
Eh,
they're gonna look at his case. Yeah, they'll be
yeah.
revisiting his case.
Reggie Sanders, I don't think he was a Hall of Famer type of guy, but
Good player.
he's there. And then Bobby Bonds, of course,
Good
Andre
player.
Dawson, Willie Mays, and
Great
Barry
player.
Bonds.
Yeah, you can make the argument. So it's not right. Basically, what you're saying is that
Mhm.
while it is a rare feat, it demonstrates that it does not guarantee that you're a Hall of Famer. It's one of those things that it's a rarity,
Mhm.
right? It's a
Well,
rarity.
I gotta be honest. I mean, eventually Beltran will make it in. A-Rod should be in.
Right, but he's not. Right, we know.
Barry
Right,
Bonds should be in, of course.
right, right.
And then Bobby Bonds, it's like, no. In my opinion, he wasn't a Hall of Famer, but he was a
But he was
great.
good. Heck of
Yeah,
a
he was
player.
good. I
Very good.
think Steve Finley was actually better than Bonds.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
wise, maybe you can't tell by this stat, but I think he was a much better player than what we give him credit for.
Yeah, the numbers, right? You go back and you look at Finley's number, and that's a random reference. I didn't think we'd be talking
Mhm.
Steve Finley, but right, that's the last thing I thought
Yeah.
we were going to be talking. But I'm familiar with his career. He was sneaky good. He was one of those
Yeah.
guys who you're like, wait, he was really good. So he was good.
Yeah, no, no, no. I agree. In terms of Jose Ramirez reaching the Hall of Fame, do you think it's a lock by now?
It's not a lock yet, but it's not a lock, and I'll tell you why. It's not a lock, but it's getting to that point. And I'll tell you this, and this is gonna sound crazy, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of people look at Machado like he's automatically a lock for the Hall of Fame. To
Mhm.
me, peak. Ramirez is better than peak Machado, except for defensively. That's it. Defensively, Machado's better. I'm not disputing that. At his position, Machado he's got the nickname for a reason. He is tremendous at
Yeah.
his position. But I'm talking about all around, as far as everything that he does, I just feel like Ramirez is a better player because
He
he does
brings
more.
more to the table.
Correct, correct. Machado, yeah, he'll give you the power. He'll play that great defense, but he's kind of like a lumbering kind of guy. He's not going to give you much with base running. He's had issues with in whether fair or not. He's had the reputation of not being the greatest clubhouse presence. He's had
Yeah.
issues with his attitude. Ramirez is not Mr. Personality. Don't get me wrong. I don't look at either one of them as really like the leader type, but
Mhm.
Ramirez, besides, the punch that he gave Tim Anderson, he's not really controversial, you
No,
know.
at all, at
Uh,
all.
no,
Eh, well, Claudio will tell you otherwise. To be honest, I
because
don't
you know
know
what
why
it
he
is, because
hates him so much.
Dominicans don't like him. They don't
Yeah, I know,
like him.
I know.
Dominicans don't now, and I understand what happened with the con el chisme, ¿verdad? With the last time, but for some reason, besides that, though, even before that, like everywhere I go, I've seen Dominicans. They don't like him or they don't appreciate him. They just don't.
I think that's the better word. They don't appreciate him, as a player. I think that we value other things, and we
Right.
don't see him as a slugger only. If that makes sense. If he was more like Marcelo Zuna, then maybe we would appreciate him more.
Right, right. If he was just
You know,
a big power hitter,
correct.
and he's not that. He's always been more. He's not having the best year ever, but it's early. I still think he's gonna put up. He'll hit 25 or 30. Still.
Yeah, I think that he still will be on the running for 25, 25, maybe 30, 30. But I saw that he got an ankle injury just now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let's see. Hopefully it's not severe or anything like that. Anyways,
Right.
moving on from Jose Ramirez, which team has been the most disappointed team, in your opinion, this year?
Okay. I'm gonna preface this by saying the biggest disappointment around baseball, right?
Hmm.
Around baseball,
Yeah.
not Santos's biggest disappointment, because I have to be right. I gotta think outside my thing, my periphery.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to be the Orioles, given the expectation, right? I did not
Yeah.
expect them to be great, but consensus was that they were gonna be great. So I think right now, for me, I think they're the biggest disappointment.
Man, I was looking to see if I could look for something. But no, I think that's right. I think it's the Orioles. I gave them I put them in as winning the AL East, and
I
that's the
know.
biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
It's not how you start. I know that is how you end it. But if you look at their team, they just don't have the pitching, and they just
No,
be
no.
getting guys like Charlie Morin, which is old. That Japanese player that brought in old, and
Right.
they just let Corbin Burns go. And to be honest, I mean, you can't trust on Albert Suarez to be what he was last year.
No,
Eh,
no.
I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, I can just see them like picking up Kenta Maeda, for example, and just put him in the rotation. It just it's not gonna work. I'm sorry, their
No,
pitching is
no.
bad. Now, if they get on a lead on the eighth and ninth inning, they got Jalen Cano and they got the Mountain. They got
Right.
it. They got it. But to get them there, it's hard.
Yeah, they're just not. They're missing that pitching, and I felt like they didn't add enough
Hmm.
to that. They have some interesting pieces. Like, it's not like they have no talent, right? Their farm system. Let's be to be frank, that franchise was tanking forever. I mean, they should have a good farm system, right?
No, of
They weren't
course.
even trying to win. They had a terrible ownership group, and it looks like the new ownership group is doing pretty much the same thing as far as not spending enough. I don't look at them like I didn't see their moves and say, "Wow, what's great." Like, they didn't do enough to me to add to that core.
So what I've heard, right, is that they wanted to spend more money. They wanted to keep Burns, and they wanted to all these things. but the GM was the one that told him no, hold on to it. Let's not make those moves yet. And he's the one. If I'm not mistaken, he's the baseball president of operations, and
Operations.
he told him no, don't do it yet. Let's give a basically let's do it without Burns. Let's see where it goes, right? And it's the David Stearns effect. You think you're smarter than everybody else, and it might work sometimes, but most of the time, if you don't have the talent, it won't happen. You know.
Yeah, no, I don't like what I'm seeing so far.
No, 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 no. And yes, I think that's the answer. The Orioles have been the most disappointing team.
Mm.